turn on your camera. It's easier to talk to faces than names, unless, of course, you were in a bathtub. We had an unfortunate incident last week that we're all still dealing with emotionally. But if you're in a reasonable place, we would love to see your face. So thank you all for being here. Here is the deal, friends. You are living through extraordinary times. And here's what I believe. Now, I have the chat open, so if you disagree, let's debate it. But here's what I believe. I believe that you may be living through a period that's going to go down as historic, meaning that 2 years from now, something is going to happen that's never happened before. And here's what I think. I think that right now, you have more people pent up wanting to buy real estate than at ever before in history. And I literally think that they are stacking themselves up. I want you to think of this like a bow being pulled back really hard. And there's all this tension in the bow. And the tension is driven from loose fiscal policy that kept interest rates very low for a very long time. Social media plays into it as well. Now, how do those two things go together? Here's what happens. Money and the cost of money is extremely cheap. At the same time, people find new ways to communicate and go to social media. And I don't know if y'all been on social media lately, but when you scroll through the face pages, it looks like everybody is rich. Everybody is rich. They're wearing red bottoms and they're on jets and they're driving Teslas and joining country clubs and they're carrying YSL bags and all this shit. And I just want to tell you something. They're not all rich. It's just not true. It's an all-out adjunct lie. None of it is real. That's the truth. I know this because we actually did the study. And here's what the study says. There's only 22.5 million rich people on the planet. And you're like, well, wait a minute, Jason. That depends how you define rich. Here's how I'm defining it. You have at least $1 million in cash, investable asset, excluding any equity in your home and all collectibles. So you can't count your Beanie Baby collection. When you define rich like that, you're only talking about 22.5 million people in the entire world. And just in case you're counting, you have to use your fingers and your toes. There's 8 billion people in the world. Okay? So statistically speaking, nobody is rich. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but that's impossible, Jason, because on my Facebook feed, everyone looks rich and everyone owns a coaching company. It's just not real. And none of it's true. Okay? It's not. It's all fake. And so live with that for a second and sit in the uncomfortableness of it. Because when you had low cost of money and this impression that everybody was rich, everyone wanted to go out and buy real estate. The cost of real estate, the housing values went up. Well, now that interest rates are in the 7s and 8s, people aren't moving. Now, that's not to say nobody is moving, but it's less. As a matter of fact, CNBC just did a poll and 67% of respondents said they would move when rates get back to 5.5 or less. That's what they said. Not me, them. Now, I don't know that they ever will, but I will tell you that if they get anywhere close to 5.75, 6, 5.5, you're going to see this arrow snap and it's going to shoot faster and harder than ever before. And you know why it's going to happen? You're like, no, Jason, it's not going to happen because there's still not going to be any inventory. You're wrong. And you know why I think you're wrong? Here's why. Because at the same time that you have these people that wanted to buy, you're now having people that wanted to sell, but they say, I can't sell because I'm unwilling to trade my 2% rate for an 8% rate. But guess what? They're getting older every year. It's not just Mark King who's getting older, friends. It's everybody who's getting older. And they want to get on with their life. You know why they move? They have life events. They get a job, they lose a job, they find love, they get divorced, they have a kid, they become an empty nester. They work their whole lives and want to retire somewhere beautiful with amazing weather, like Cleveland. And they want to get on with it, okay? But they're paused right now. There's a giant, it's like someone hit the pause button. And so what does this mean for you? Well, here's what it means. It means that when rates get to that point, this thing is going to go like a bat out of hell, like Meatloaf said, faster and more hot than ever before. And you're either going to be in the right place at the right time, at the right moment, with the right business model, at the right company, or you're not. So have you ever noticed that you've lived through a bunch of boom cycles, but you haven't gotten extraordinarily rich? Like, are you wildly rich because of Bitcoin or because of the price of gold or because of the oil markets or because of the tech boom of 99 to 2001 or because of the interest rate hike? Have you seized the advantage? And just for most of you, the answer is no. You still have to come to work. I still got to come to work. You know why? Because you say, well, I didn't realize it. I was living through it. I didn't understand it at the time. Jason, you can't expect me to have put my money into a fake wallet somewhere with money that I can't see created by people that don't shower. Yeah, agreed. I wouldn't have put my money there either. But guess what? This one's going to happen in your industry. And I'm telling you that it's going to happen at some point in the future, a year and a half to 2 years. That's my guess. Now, if you're like, well, what does this guy know? Friends, the only thing I'm good at is knowing what the music is going to sound like next. I got all kinds of weaknesses. I'm good at that. I promise. I'm telling you that it's going to happen. I'm telling you you're in the right industry. I'm telling you. And by the time it does happen, there's going to be between 200 and 350,000 less real estate agents in this United States. That's the news. Now, everyone has a choice to make. You either want to live the life you're living now indefinitely, or you want to make some incremental changes. And the one incremental change that I can help you make is you get richer. Now, you're going to be like, Jason, but wait a minute. There's so many other things I want to change. I'd like to have more hair like you did. I can connect you to my guy. I'd like to have a better relationship with the people closest to me. I get all that. The challenge, though, I'm not the one to help. I'm the one to help you get richer. And so in order to get richer and seize this thing, you got to do a few things. Number one, you got to seize mind share right now. Mind share comes before market share, which means the more people that you're in relationship with, when this arrow gets shot off, the more real estate you're going to list and sell. Fact. So how do you do that? You do it the same way you've always done it, which is you grade your relationships by the richness of the conversations that you're having. And so you can look up, and if you're not having rich conversations with people, you're not in relationship with them. I'll prove it to you. How about you just stop talking to your significant other? You just stop altogether. How many weeks would it be before you'd be out of relationship? It wouldn't take long. Relationships are so easy. You want to be in a deeper one, talk more. You want to be out on one, just stop communicating. Everyone's trying to make it so much more complicated. It isn't. The relationship is the conversation, period. So don't tell me that you have 17,000 people in a database, but don't talk to any of them. You don't have a database, you have a phone book. Now is the time to really show people that you care and have a conversation with them. The number one coolest trick right now to start conversations, I saw it the other day. I loved it. It is getting a 70+% response rate when you send it to your sphere of influence. Here's what this human does. They type in an address into the company that rhymes with Billo. Then they get the Zestimate, which, by the way, raise your hand if you think they're accurate. Perfect. Raise your hand if it matters. Perfect. Here's what Zillow will tell you. Their on-market listings, their estimates are variance between 3.2%. Their off-market listings are variant by 7.5%. Look at it on their website. So what's your average sales price right now, Russ, in Denver? Give me just a number, any number. Pick one.
Around 500.
500, great. 7.5% of that is out of their range of accuracy. That's a pretty big number when you think about it. I mean, you're talking about 30 grand. So here's what this person does. They put in the address. They then bring up the Zestimate. They then take a picture of the screen with their phone. They then text message that photo to the owner of the house. And they say, this is what Zillow thinks your home is worth. I have some thoughts on this. Do you want to visit? Friends, they are getting a 70+% response rate because it turns out people are pretty darn emotional about the Zestimate of their house. They either think it's too high, they think it's too low. Very, very few of them think it's just right. So you want to find a way to get your database talking to you again? That's an amazing touch to make. And remember, friends, you're in the fall cleanup right now. It's the time of the year where you clean up your database. The only reason you do that is so that you can have the winter of renewal, which, in case you forgot, starts the day after Thanksgiving and goes all the way through mid-January. And the reason it's the winter of renewal is because you have a million excuses to call people you've been ignoring for the last ever. Because you can just simply say, Happy New Year, or Happy Holidays, or I'm just calling to let you know I was thinking about you, or this is the time of year that I show gratitude. This is why we have winter of renewal, because that leads to the spring explosion, which is all these people that were going to do business now do it with you. I thought that was an amazing touch. The next touch that I absolutely love is from David Voorhees. His team uses it every year. What they do is they find the hottest restaurants in their town. There's a restaurant in Austin called Red Ash. It's great. It's Italian. The hand make it is so good. It takes 60 days to get a reservation there. I'm assuming you have something cool in Denver where it takes time to get a reservation. Here's what he does. He goes 60 days out on the calendar and starts booking reservations Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night. Then when he gets to that week, he calls the people in his database and he says, Leslie, it's David calling. Hey, listen, I had made reservations at Red Ash like 100 days ago for this Friday night, but my wife and I can't go. Would you like the reservation so that you can go? People lose their mind over it, by the way, and it's 100% free to make reservations in advance. It's the no-cost database touch that I think everyone is going to be doing this holiday season. It's an absolute no-brainer. I do it for my VIP SOI. Now, if you don't know what that is, you got to go through your database and you got to pick out the 25 to 50 most important people. Now, they're not important, like more important than anybody because all humans are equal, but they're not all created equal, which means some of them are going to send you more referrals than others. My mom, by the way, loves me to pieces more than anyone ever will. She's seen more to me than anybody. She's never going to send me a referral in her entire life. It's okay. She does other stuff, but she's not wired that way. She's going to sit at Canasta and Mahjong and never tell them about me. It's just not her thing. So guess what? I love her. Not in my 50 most important people in my database. She's not. She's not. She's in a different list. Like if I don't call every day, she gets pissed off list. That's a different list. The 50 most important people, your VIP SOI, or who are the people in your database that can connect you between 2 and 3 real estate deals in the next 12 months. And that group has to be treated different than everybody else. So who's in that group? That's the group that you might want to give a gift to this holiday season. And let's just talk about gift giving, by the way. Here it is. If you are a gift giver, and here, by the way, why am I talking about this? I'll tell you why. Because the holiday season has begun, folks. I'm already getting gifts from people. Now, when you work at KWRI, you get tons of gifts from people out there and it's so nice. But you know what I have 8,000 of? Yeti mugs with your name on it. Now, don't get me wrong, friends. I was short cups at one point in my life. I'm stocked now. I'm stocked. I'm also stocked on extra battery cases that I can plug into my phone in case my phone goes down. I got them. And little books with your logo and hats. Like, I got all the swag. But I want to give you a different way to think about gifts. It's from the book Giftology. And if you haven't read Giftology and you give gifts, you're doing it wrong. This is so good. This book makes the argument. It says that giving gifts and those little touches commemorate not just certain events, but people, places, and things that are important to us. Listen to this, ladies. In essence, the gift becomes the symbol of the value that you put on the relationship. You might want to tell, ladies, you might want to show your significant others that sentence. The gift they give you is the symbol that they're putting on the relationship. Jonathan Dupree, he's an RD, he's a good friend of mine in the Southwest. They just had a 20-year anniversary, him and his wife. He got her a kayak. Now, here's what you don't know. Jonathan Dupree loves fishing. It's just, you ever drive down the street and see a dude like fishing in a sewer? And you're like, who's the kind of person that pulls over to do that? And why the hell are they fishing there? It can't just be me. That's John Dupree. Now, his wife doesn't like fishing. How do you think she felt about the kayak? Exactly. So how do you fix it? Caroline Howe taught me how to fix it. If you're a note taker, write this down. If you know me, then show me. That's how she gives gifts. If you know me, then show me, which means that any gift she gives is going to be a representation that she actually knows the person. And by the way, she gives 5 gifts per transaction. You get a gift when you sign the listing agreement. You get a gift when you go under contract. You get a gift when you make it through appraisal. You get a gift on closing day. And then you get a gift 3 months later. By the time you all forgotten about Caroline, she shows up with a gift. She's so zany about gift giving that any agent that writes an offer on one of her listings If it's a multiple offer situation, she gives a gift to everyone whose offer did not get accepted. It's a $10 Starbucks gift card with a note that says, I appreciate you and your time. Thank you for showing my listing. Sorry we didn't make this deal. I'll focus on the next one with you. I said, Caroline, why do you do that? And she said, because at some point, I'm going to be the buyer's agent. I'm their listing in a multiple offer situation. And everyone in town remembers me and that I value them. She's a genius, in case you're wondering. So here's my question. If you had to operate under the moniker, if you know me, then show me, will you give different gifts this holiday season? Please tell me the answer is yes. That's not to say that you shouldn't give the keychains and the Yeti mugs and the hats and all of the stuff. It is to say, though, that if you're trying to move people emotionally closer to you, that doesn't do it. Why do you give a gift? You give a gift to show somebody that you care, number one, but number two, so that they move emotionally closer to you. No one's like, hey, congratulations on the closing. Here's a cutting board with my name on it. And they're hoping to alienate the person. They're hoping that person's like, oh my gosh, a cutting board? I've never had one of these. Now, I've heard a lot about them, but holy hell, you're saying I get to take this one home? Friends, come on already. Please. We got to give gifts that show value. We got it. So when you have this VIP sphere of influence list, that's the people that you can make a massive impact on, and you're collecting that mind share, which ultimately becomes market share. And here's the last thing I'm going to tell you. I truly believe that this bow is being pulled back and this tension is drawing. And there are people that are on this call that if they play their card right, they're going to be multi-millionaires. They're just 2 years out from realizing it. But all the work will be done right now. And tomorrow and the next day until the bow goes. And once it goes, it's going to go so damn fast and you're not going to have time to catch up. You just won't. But someone will. You know how I know? Because every year there's a rookie of the year. Because every year someone breaks a record that you never thought was going to be broken. And if you want it to be you, you're going to have to act differently. Because first comes the thinking, then comes the action. It's not the other way around. So like when you wake up and you're craving chocolate chip pancakes, which is the only acceptable pancake, of course, you don't just wake up and make it. You have to think about it first, then make it. I want you thinking about this right now because there's two ways to capitalize on the market. Number one, listings. The person that's going to have all the listings is the one that is in the best shape always. Number two, buyers, meaning there is going to be this group of buyers more than ever before that are going to need representation. And so I know buyer's agents, they're curating two things right now. Number one, a list of all the buyers they're going to do business with, and they're signing long-term buyer's agency agreements. Number two, if you represent buyers, you need to pull a list of the top 5 or 10 listing agents in the areas that you sell houses. And then you need to start loving on that group now. You need to call them and say, hey, look, I represent buyers, a lot of them. I also do listings, but I represent buyers. But you represent far more listings than I do. And I know that I'm going to be writing an offer on one of your listings that's going to have multiple offers. And I just want to know, what can I do to give myself an advantage? How do you like offers presented? How do you want me to do business such that you want to do business with me? This agent wakes up every day curating 2 databases, the buyers and then the agents she's trying to ingratiate herself to. And she's sending them a gift every month because she knows when the market turns and someone has 41 offers again, she's going to be their best friend when it happens. That's someone who's planning a successful life 2 years away. Friends, this is that moment. I truly believe it. I'm talking to the top agents in the world, and they're all telling me the same thing, which is that 90% of realtors are sleepwalking through this moment, waiting for the quote unquote market to change, but they won't be ready when it does because they're doing nothing to build a foundation so that when it does change, they capitalize. Y'all realize you've been running around like crazy for the last 15 years without a break. I get it. I get it. This is that moment where 90% of the agents are taking the break. And it's the moment where you can come out wildly ahead. Russ, that's what I got.
Thank you, Jason. We appreciate you being here today.
Someone in the chat said 96% of realtors are not in the industry 4 years from now. Yeah, 100%. How about this? Less than 8% of agents in the United States today have sold more than 4 homes this calendar year. Because here's the thing, you all look up and you're like, well, how can that be? You know the problem with you people? You're all winners. That's the problem. Tim Grover talked about this with us, Russ. You remember at the CEO Summit, he said, you know, the problem with winners, they think that the default setting for life is to win. And so they discount the fact that they're winning every day. You realize how big you're winning when less than 8% of the agents have sold more than 4 houses? And what happens when you win all the time, like y'all do, is you look up and say, all I do is win. And so I don't have to change anything dramatically to keep winning. And that's the mistake. If you think about it like there's 3 levels, there's security, which is I have enough money to pay my bills. Finally, I don't have to sweat every month. The next level, though, is the one that kills most of you. It's called comfort. And you get to the comfort level, and now you have enough money to pay your bills. You can go out to eat whenever you want and not worry about the market price on the menu. You get to go on vacation 2 or 3 times a year, pretty much the way you want to travel. You can drive anything you want within reason, and you live in a house that you like. And you're like, this is a nice place. It's a hell of a lot nicer than where I grew up. And you stay in comfort. You're like, I'm just going to end up here. That always keeps you from getting to the last phase, which is so wildly rich, you don't even know what to do with yourself. Don't get stuck in comfort. That you don't want to be there. All right, Russ, thanks for having me. Gang, thank you all for being part of KW. If you need to reach me because I offended you on this call, which I have a tendency to do, you don't have to email my boss. He gets a lot of emails. You just email me. It's jason@kw.com. If I offended you, I'm sorry. And then my cell number is 480-299-0805. And if you haven't heard the MREA podcast yet, please go do it. We dropped Kimber McKeedy's episode this week. I think it's absolute fire.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, gang.
All right. We appreciate Jason being here for Colorado. Hey, I'm doing the coffee and profit share class. When is this? Tomorrow. Tomorrow at 9:30. I'm going to be going through KW's new profit share playbook. So if you want to be part of the latest and greatest thoughts on profit share, join me on Zoom, www.coffeeandprofitshare.com. The profit share is required. The coffee is optional. Leslie is teaching a bunch of classes this month. She's teaching Mastering Home Search Ads, 6 proven techniques for cost-efficient marketing. December 7th, she's teaching Social Media Mastery, all great opportunities. All of her classes and all of our classes can be found at our YouTube channel, which is located at KW Colorado Region 7. All of our events can be registered for at kwcoloradoevents.com. Leslie, did you have something you were going to add today?
She's coming up.
Yes.
She's coming up. Wait a minute. You can't talk yet, Leslie. One more announcement for me. The early bird pricing for Family Reunion has been extended through tomorrow. And the reason it's been extended is today we are announcing the second Robbins in our lineup for Family Reunion. Mel Robbins was announced a week or so ago. Tony Robbins was announced 6 minutes ago. We're super excited that Tony Robbins is going to be at Family Reunion. We believe Family Reunion will sell out. We believe that the early bird pricing, which only lasts for another 36 hours or so, will sell out. So get there soon. Additionally, if you were at the CEO Summit last year, or maybe it was at regular Family Reunion, this lady spoke. What is her name, Kelly?
Molly Fletcher.
Molly Fletcher spoke. She's going to be doing a special coaching for us called Energy Optimize Your Performance. This is all about how to harness the energy that you have inside you so that you can show up in a solid way. And Molly is pretty impressive. So don't miss that. Speaking of Jason's podcast, check it out. It's called the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Podcast, and he's interviewing top people from across the KW ecosystem each day. Leslie, your turn.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I do have a tech update. It's super exciting. You can now merge contacts in Command. Yay. So for those who've been with us, I'm going to give you a quick demo of what that really looks like. So join me here on my screen to see this quick demo. As you can see, I have my name in here a few times. So you can only merge 2 contacts at a time. So that's a little bit of a fine print there. Another thing that I want you to be truly aware about when you do merge contacts are your active connections. Those active connections include smart plans, opportunities, and consumer agent site connections, excuse me. So what I'm about to demonstrate here is merging these 2 contacts together. And a beautiful thing about this new merge button is it lives here in the bulk action area once you do select your 2 contacts. And it will also read that you have an active connection happening. So as you can see in this demonstration, it shows that I have some opportunities active. I also have some smart plans active. And so the other contact to the right does not. So it's basically saying, keep this one so that we don't have to change active connections, smart plans, etc. And it'll make your life easier. So we'll just click continue. It will review the merge together, and then it will be completed just like that. It's that easy. Now for teams out there, perhaps we might have somebody on our call today that is on a team. If you're on a team, your agents who have standard permissions will also be allowed to merge contacts that they own. And also know that if you have any admins on your team that have enhanced or unlimited permissions, then they will also be able to merge contacts that they don't own. So just pay attention to those permissions. If for any reason you all want a 15-minute session with me or a 30-minute session with me to get a little bit deeper into command, I'm going to leave my calendar link right in the chat. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Leslie. Okay, we've got a few recognition items. Top individuals for October 2023. Let's get right into it. So with 5 units, Nathan, Vicky, Jennifer, and Carrie George. With 6 units, Kevin, Christopher. Top 3, 7 units, Joe Claire from Durango. Faith Young is number 2 with 9 units from Littleton. And Sheila Bailey, 15 units from Denver West. Great job, everyone. Moving to volume. Heather from Longmont, 3.1 million. Michelle from Cherry Creek, 3.2 million. Lynn from Westminster, 3.3 million. Mary from Foothills, 3.5 million. Number 6 is Daniel Egan from Client's Choice at almost 4 million. Number 5, Tammy from Durango at 4 million in change. And Ryan Richards from Vail at number 4 with just a little bit more than Tammy. Top 3, Brooke from Vail, Joe from Durango, and Sheila Bailey with $16 million. Wow. At number 1. Congratulations all. GCI, Heather with 75K. Kathy from Denver West with 80,000. Lynn from Denver North with 82,000. Ryan from Vail with 83,000. Michelle is number 6 from Integrity, and Brooke from Vail at 107,000. Took number 5. Tammy is at number 4 from Durango with $108,330. And our top 3 for GCI are Daniel Egan from Client's Choice, Joe Claire from Durango, and Sheila Bailey at number 1 with just shy of 300,000 in October. Great job, everybody. That is super impressive. Moving on to teams. Teams are 2 licensed agents. Closings with 4 units and number 5, Gill Orchard Homes, The Collective, Seed Property Group, Dawn Howe Group, Dynasty Property Group, Tetford Team, Team Rochelle Cozzolino, and Innovate Properties. Number 4 with 5 units, a tie between Margaret Gade from Arvada and the Phillips team from the Foothills. And our top 3 for closed units, High Cap Homes and the Skinner team with 6, Ryan and Company with 7, and the Shea team with 8 from Client's Choice. Great job all. On volume, Margaret Gade came in at 2.8 million, number 10. Number 9 is High Cap Homes at 2.9. Number 8 is the Morocco team from North Denver at 3 million. Number 7, the Collective from Denver downtown. The Wise team came in at number 6 from Longmont. Gill Orchard Homes came in at number 5 at just shy of 4 million. And just over 4 million, the Shea team from KW Client's Choice. And our top 3, Ryan and Co. from Park Meadows at just under 5 million. Oops, there's a little typo there, I think. The Phillips team at also just under 5 million. And Dawn Howe Group from Grand Junction at 7 million. Congratulations. GCI Innovate came in at number 10, High Cap Homes at number 9, Margaret Gate Homes at number 8, the Wise team at number 7, the Morocco team at number 6, and breaking the 100,000 mark, Gill Orchard Homes at number 5, the Shea team at number 4, and our top 3 last month, Ryan and Co. at 127,484, Phillips team at 147,330, and the Don Howe Group at $187,066. Moving on to our top groups. For closed units, the A team at Partners had 8. So did the Atha team and High City Group. At number 9, we've got the Home Partnership Group from DTC. At number 8 with 9.5 units, the Kibler Group from KW Partners. Number 7 was Jamie Baker Orr team from Pueblo, the Strange team from Denver North, and the Deborah Jo Abeta team as well with 10 units. At number 6 with 11 units, the Alchemy Group and Flourish. At number 5 with 12 units, the Towner Group. At number 4, Team Front Range from Aurora. And our top 3 were the Johnson team at 20 units, Empower Home Team and the Dixon Group at 21, and Elite Home Partners from Cherry Creek at 35 units. Great job, all. Moving on to volume. High City Group closed just over 5 million. Home Partnership Group closed 5.5 million. Your Denver Family Home Team, also 5.5 million, just a little bit more. Flourish, 6.5 million. Number 6 was Team Front Range at 8.5 million. The Alchemy Group at 8.8 million, the Johnson team at 9.2 million, and our top 3 for October groups closed volume, the Dixon Group at 9.3, Empower Home Team at 11.8, and Elite Home Partners at 22 and change. Congratulations all. And then finally, GCI, the Denver Family Home Team, 136,000. Your Home Partnership Group, 139,000. Flourish, 161,000. Team Front Range, 165,000. Number 6 is Trinity Team at 187. Number 5, the Johnson Team at 204. The Dixon Group came in at 228,000. And our top 3 last month, the Alchemy Group, 241,573. Empower Home Team, 370,130. And Elite Home Partners, $457,935. Congrats to all of our top performers. Great job, everybody. Daniel, thanks for clapping for your partners out there. Appreciate it. Top market centers for October. Closed volume. Partners had 44 million. Denver West, 47 million. Denver North, 48 million. Downtown, 69 million. And DTC led the way for volume with 75 million in closed volume. Closed units, Denver North at 84, Pueblo at 89.55. Interesting. Partners 110, DTC 130, and Denver Downtown 136 and 9/10 of another home. Great job, all. And listings taken. 57 for Denver West, 67 for Downtown, 68 for Partners, 89 for DTC, and Pueblo leading the way yet again with 98 listings taken. Great job. Top market centers for gross. Longmont hired 8, Littleton and Denver North 10 each last month. DTC 15, Denver Downtown 21, and KW Partners 50 agents. Wow, look at that. And we're going to turn it to Cato now to close this out with a market update. Cato, are you here?
I am. All right, let's see if I can share. There we go. Give me 1 second, get this set up. All right, can you guys see my screen?
No.
No? All right, well, let's try that again then.
Now we can see your screen and it's the pot. There you go.
All right. Always that fun technical stuff. All right. So let's talk about a little bit about what's going on in the economy right now. GDP numbers for Q3 came out. They were actually better than expected. They're 4.9% increase quarter over quarter. So that part is good. What that really means, though, is it means that our economy is still growing a little faster than we want it to. So that puts a little extra pressure on the Fed. Now, that being said, when we look at the inflation rate, you can see by this barred line graph that it's trending, and we really hit our low point at 3% in June, and we started to raise up a little bit. Again, this goes back a little bit to what Jason was talking about before about having that bow pulled back. It's not just in real estate. Americans have a habit of wanting to spend money. So technically, we typically do. Now, that all being said, looking at what contributed to the CPI, the inflation, transportation went down quite a bit. I'm sure most of you have noticed, if you've been to the pump in the last couple of weeks, that the price for gas in Denver at least has come down quite a bit in the last roughly 30 days. Food is still high. Our core CPI is actually higher than total CPI. And what that means is that when we kind of average them out, that still is going a little higher. But, we were 3.7% from a year earlier on our CPI. Now, that being said, we also have to look at what's going on in the jobs market. In the jobs market, we went to a 3.9% unemployment rate when we look at the U3. And the U3 is the number that you're going to see used on the news all the time. And what that means is that more people are suddenly finding themselves unemployed. While that sounds like a bad number in economics, sometimes a loss is a gain. And while that is not good for the people who became unemployed, from a country point of view, that will help slow our economy down to where inflation doesn't get out of control and cost everybody too much. So we're actually looking for employment to go up. The problem with looking at these numbers is a U3 is what's called a politician's number. It makes it look better so that people don't see the real situation. What you really want to look at are the U6 numbers. Now, the U6 numbers is basically everyone combined. And if you look at this, it's the orange line on here, and you'll see they all spiked in 2020, and then they all kind of came back down. They're all going back up. Well, the U6 deals with the marginally attached workers, the discouraged workers, the underemployed, the part-time people who are trying to find a full-time job, but maybe they just can't afford it because they're working so much they can't get out there and interview the way they want to. And so a lot of you have gotten a hold of me and said, hey, I want to start understanding this a little more about what you're talking about. So here's some books I'm going to recommend that you guys read in November. Michael Pento's book on the coming bond market collapse I read years ago. I thought it was absolutely ludicrous. This guy doesn't know anything what he's talking about. I picked it up again about 2 months ago, found out the guy's absolutely brilliant. He was just off by a couple years in his estimate of when this would happen. It'll explain what's going on with the bond market. It'll explain what's going on with some of the unemployment. It'll explain a little bit about what's going on with treasuries and things like that. And then anytime you see Peter Zion, take a look at his stuff. Some people think he's brilliant. Some people don't. I tend to be in the beginning group because I think the guy really does understand what he's doing. In fact, he lives in Morrison, Colorado. But if you haven't read his book, The Accidental Superpower, pick that one up before you pick up The End of the World Is Just the Beginning. With all that being said, we need to look at what's going on so you guys can start future casting what you're talking about. Because one of the things I thought it was great that Jason talked about today was that we have this pent up buyer demand, and then you're going to get some seller demand off of it, like the bow he was talking about. And this is a big part of the reason why. And if we look at 1980, that was the last time our country had a balanced budget. We have not had a balanced budget, folks, in 43 years. Well, then we look here in 2000, that's about when 9/11 happened. We have the 2008 banking crisis. If you see this little split line here, this is when Obama got into office. And the only reason that's there is because this article had to do a lot with his policies. But then you see where we hit COVID and going on. Listen, the Congresses through the last 4 presidents have overspent. The analogy we hear a lot is a bunch of drunken sailors. I personally prefer, think of an 18-year-old who got their first credit card and doesn't know how to manage money. That's what Congress has been doing for the last 23 years, roughly. Now, why do I say that? Well, if you look at this article that came out of the Wall Street Journal just a few days ago, the Treasury borrowed over $1 trillion in Q3, and they're planning on borrowing another $777 billion in Q4. Now, what you need to understand that you're not going to be able to see here is they're borrowing this money to pay the interest on the money we've already borrowed. This would be the equivalent of you getting a credit card to pay the interest payments, not the principal, on the credit card payments that you can't afford. Why is that important? Because that ties to our 10-year Treasury yield, and it's the highest it's been in quite a few years, and it's probably going to raise some more. The 10-year Treasury yield is tied to mortgage rates, and that means our mortgages will stay higher. Listen, if we get below 7%, we're actually going to be doing really well in the next couple of years. The Feds are saying they think it's going to cut below that. I have a hard time believing that when I see things like this, but I guess we'll see as we go. Part of the problem is that the government has had a lot of bonds that have come back where people have cashed out, things like that. Well, we also have a bunch of corporate bonds that are coming due. Corporations, like the government, can issue a bond where people give them money, they borrow money, and they pay back at coupons at regular intervals. Well, one of the things that's going on with the economy is everybody thought the party would keep going, we'd be able to keep dancing. So here, if you look for the next 5 years at least, we are going to have a lot of these coming to maturity. And if rates don't go down, we're going to have major problems, because here's the rates at which they borrowed at. And you'll see that, hey, looking at 6%, 6.5, those were the pretty high ones. We're way above that on these bonds now. So a lot of these companies are going to come back. They're either going to have to restructure, go through possibly some, bankruptcy or something like that, and all that, or they have to start restructuring now because they're not going to be able to afford to refinance this. So the 2 most important things to know about a business expenses are the 2 most expensive things are employees and your real estate. Well, one of the things a lot of these corporations have been doing is they have been cutting wages on their employees. And what I mean, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. They've been cutting the amount of hours employees are getting. The reason they've done that is because if they cut a certain number of them below a certain level, they can save things like health insurance. They can save other benefits, as well as cut down those hourly rates. So you're seeing that in a lot of the work from home programs, especially. Why is that important? Well, let's look at the 12 months change of consumer price and workers' pay. So this orange line talks about inflation and just kind of shows you what the cost of everyday items has become. This blue line is the average hourly earnings, what they actually get per hour on average. And the blue line is what they take home. And why that's important is going back to this slide, because we've been cutting the amount of hours people get, that just because they're getting a higher wage doesn't necessarily mean they're taking more home. If we drop it into a cumulative view, then you can see where the disparity is between what things cost. If they were all equal in 2021, well, this is why your average consumer is not feeling great about the economy, even though they're reading all these headlines talking about it's amazing, it's great, everything works, Bidenomics, blah, blah, blah. I don't care what side you're on. People are feeling the crunch, and this is what's causing people to not want to buy, especially when rates are so much higher than they were just 1.5 to 2 years ago. Now, I've had a lot of people say, well, Cato, people got a lot of excess savings from stimulus plans and all that. Great, so let's look at that. hey, in 2021, they got all this money, they paid down debt, and then it all went away. And if you look at real savings, this red dotted line we looked at was the 2015 through 2019, showing what people were saving before COVID, and that it was consistently going up. If we were to look at that line now, it would be crossing here and going extremely negative extremely quickly. One of the problems with it is people are, because they don't have that money, because they have that gap between what things cost and the money they have, and they don't want to lower their lifestyle, they're spending a huge amount of money on credit cards. We are in the most credit card debt as country we have ever been in. We just crossed $1 trillion. For those of you who don't have a mortgage license as well, let me tell you something. That's going to hurt a lot of people when it comes to qualifying later on, unless they can pay those down and or get a higher pay raise and more hours at work. That being said, Princeton does a consumer confidence on purchasing homes and has since 1960. We, in April of this year, crossed over to the lowest consumer confidence index since they started looking at 1960. This only goes through about June. They haven't published a new number since then, but I'm pretty much guaranteeing it's probably gone down from looking at the other pieces. Now, that being said, we got to look a little bit about what's going on in the banking sector and in the corporate sector. So the CFTC just reported that 3 banks, Bank of America, Chase Manhattan, and Goldman Sachs, just got fined $53 million a few weeks ago for doing some swaps on some derivatives. If you don't know what that is, that's one of the main things that caused the banking crash of 2008. Well, they forgot to record some of them. And, we all forget things. They only forgot to record about 1.7 million of these swaps in between these 3 banks. That is a huge number, and it obviously could cause some instability in our markets. Okay, with that being said, the CEO of Bank of America, Solomon, he's been threatened with his job. Goldman Sachs is talking about getting rid of part of their wealth business because they don't want people to be able to dig into it. Jamie Dimon, who is the CEO of Chase, has announced, and he announced it late on a Friday, that he's going to sell $141 million of his position at Chase. Folks, let me ask you a question. Do you think the bankers think there's going to be a soft landing? Because I'm sorry, that's what we call a media term. The media puts that out there to try and sell headlines and to keep the incumbents in. There's not a soft landing coming out of this. Okay. Charles Schwab, in addition, laid off 2,000 people because they don't have the income coming in to keep them. Last month, I told you about some banks to watch. One that wasn't on here that I was actually a little surprised by, Citizens Bank in Iowa got closed about a week and a half ago, and FDIC came in. There's 2 others that we're watching in Iowa right now that may change. Citigroup is doing Project Bora Bora to offset and get rid of about another 20,000 employees. Again, employees in real estate are what are expensive. So they are preparing for an economic downturn where they're going to have to refinance these bonds. And so they're quietly laying off people. The top 5 banks have laid off 20,000 people so far. They're looking between 60 and 90,000 between now and the end of Q1 is what's reported on that. So it's just something to understand. Bank of America and a couple other banks had problems with getting payroll checks out. As of Friday, I haven't seen anything new. About 200,000 of these still had not gone through. This is real money for people who are trying to pay their bills. Maersk is a major shipper from around the world. They just laid off another 10,000 people because they're seeing fewer people buying things. If you watch the oil markets, the reason the oil prices have dropped here is that Americans are driving less. We're getting back to that, hey, rice and beans mentality. We got to save a little bit of money because we don't know what's going on. Here's why I'm telling you all this. Because your clients are out there and they're getting scared. I'm talking to them every day. We're talking with groups of people, and we're hearing the same thing over and over and over again. So you need to really be out there talking with your clients. Now, looking back at Chase and Bank of America, what I want you to see here, and Kelly will send you out the slide so you can look at this in more detail. When we look at their ALLs, when we look at their loan loss provisions, their tier 1, They're non-accrual loans, so they're not selling stuff, but they're having a lot of REO show up. If you were in my classes a year ago, I was telling you there won't be a lot of REOs. I have completely changed my position. They are coming, and they're going to come with a force. So we're going to see a lot of those starting probably mid to late 2024. So if you're not talking to banks, get on the phone with them right now. Start talking with the asset managers. I said there wouldn't be a soft landing. Guess what? I use data to make my decisions. This is what I do in my investment firms. Okay, I make people millions of dollars every year, and I'm telling you, I don't care what they're telling you on TV. The recession is coming. There's really no way out of it. But that doesn't mean it's bad. Please don't equate recession with bad. This is just data. What you do with it and how you help your people with it, that's what makes it good or bad. A recession just means that these people are going to hold on to their money because they don't feel safe. A huge part of our job is making people feel safe. It's why we have an inverted yield curve right now, because people think the economy is going to do better in the next 2 years than it's going to do in the next 10, based off of what the data is saying. Okay. Now, that being said, right now, the Fed has said that they don't expect that they're going to raise rates any more in 2023. In fact, when we look at it, it's only a 19.8% chance that they're going to raise it. So almost 80+% chance they will not raise it. And when we look at the Fed's dot plot here, we can see over the next couple of years that they do expect to drop rates quite a bit. Okay. Right now, rates in Colorado are 7.3%. They've gone down just slightly, but that's a good thing. And I can get it to work. As you see in the Case-Shiller, we're still seeing that the Case-Shiller is going up. Now, this is August because Case-Shiller is 3 months behind us. I do expect to see one more month in September where it rises a little bit. It'll be just over the 0 mark, and then it'll start coming down for seasonality again. I put the dot plot in here so you can kind of see what you should expect over the next year, because as rates drop, Jason's right, more people will go out and purchase. Oddly enough, last week we had a 2.5% increase in mortgage applications, which I thought was great. I did not expect that at all. In fact, I expected it to be 2.5 opposite. So I love this swing. Hopefully we can keep this up for a little while. In Colorado, we didn't change our median close price. Average close price stayed about the same. Closed home sales, though, was down almost 12% month over month. Let's see, months inventory, we're at 2.5 months now. We are quickly moving toward a buyer's market. We're not there yet. We're still in a seller's market, but it is not a strong seller's market. It's just a seller's market right now. Again, sales volume is down almost 12%. Median days, and I don't like median days, I prefer average, but it's, what is it, up 14% there. Okay. Just kind of give you an idea. It's very simple. We're going to, since we don't have a lot of time, we're going to make this easy. Look on the market overview of the right. Red is bad, green is good if we want our market to be stronger. Okay. This is a great time for you to take your investors out, though. Now, here's something where we need to get very serious very quickly. In Colorado, there were 5,972 possible clients that we could have helped last month because there were 2,986 closed units. And I'm just doing Denver Metro, folks. I get some of you are from outside there. But KW Colorado had 946 units, okay? About 73% of them, by my math, were from the Denver metro area, and Russ and Kelly may be able to tell me if I'm correct or incorrect on that number, but that basically means that we only helped about 16% of the clients out there, okay? That being said, we need to realize something. You guys are the best trained, best agents out there, and if we're only helping 16%, that means that we are causing people to have to go out with lesser agents. Not all of them, please understand, there's some great agents out there that aren't with KW. There's a lot that are not great, though. And so if you want to get your unfair share, the best thing you can do is help your clients, because at the end of the day, our job is to help people. And I love this picture because mom is on the couch stressed out, kids are running around. They shouldn't know the market is bad. we're going to have a lot of people who are going to get hurt in the next few months to a year. We need to be out there growing our databases, talking to as many people as we can, and doing our job, which is really out there to help people as much as possible. Make sure you're educating your people so they're getting their homes sold quickly before pricing starts to drop. You know, I tell you every month what to do here, and it's really just talk to your sphere 3 times as much, get as many referrals as you can, build that database. You know, Jason was 100% correct. I absolutely loved what he said today. You know, please make sure when you're calling people too, you're in TCPA compliance. Become the expert in pricing. Make sure you make it to family reunion. I can't stress that enough. This will be my 24th family reunion. I still don't miss it. The education I get there is invaluable. Hit 3 listing appointments a week, practice your scripts and dialogues, and read every single day, and start prospecting those banks as well, because I'm telling you, there's going to be a huge amount of listings. So sorry for running so long, Kelly, but there you go.
You're right on time. So thank you guys for being here for our November regional rally. We'll look forward to seeing you next month. Take care. Have a great week, and don't forget to sign up for family reunion. Bye.